So we had to do like a lift, like a cute little dining nook for when the family wants to eat there, right? Like a little bar. But then out of that rose this lighted makeup mirror, and it became like a hair and makeup station.
Are you an RV person? Or are you just RV life curious, wondering how people live in a tiny space with their family 24/7? Either way, this is a podcast for you. My name is Kate White, and I travel full-time with my family and 2 kids and the dog in an RV. Every week, I sit down either with a fellow RV woman to discuss why she chose RV life and how she has changed on the road, or with a special guest who speaks on a topic relevant to travel life. Pull a chair up to the fire and let's chat. Amelia Bay, welcome to the RV Queens podcast. Where in the world are you today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. We are in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we are just at our campsite with our renovation right next door.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to chat with you today and to dive into your story. I have so many questions for you, but I like to start every podcast asking you, to go back a few years to your pre-RV days. You were New Yorkers with an extremely glamorous sounding life. Tell me what your life looked like pre-COVID when you guys were living in the city.
Very different. We loved what we did in New York. We didn't necessarily love New York. Like, we're both such sun babies and like want to be warm and travel and be out in, the wilderness and everything. So the concrete jungle wasn't exactly for us, but we loved what we did. I was a hairstylist and makeup artist in film and TV, as well as like Broadway shows and all sorts of avenues. So that was a lot of fun. And we pivot. We did a COVID pivot.
And your husband worked on Broadway. So you were like in film and TV, he worked Broadway. You guys had a super busy life. 2020 hit, and then obviously like the entertainment industry was like screech. All your work got shut down, I'm assuming, right? Is that how that worked?
Yep. Totally.
So how did you know, you said COVID pivot, how did you guys know that you wanted the next era of your lives to involve renovating and living in an RV?
Well, that's the natural progression, right? Like you go from like Broadway to like living in an RV and renovating. It was a weird pivot, but we renovated our home in Forest Hills in Queens, New York. And we loved doing it together, and we just like felt fulfilled in a way that we hadn't in a while. So even during, like before the pandemic, we talked about like, maybe we flip houses in like upstate New York or something, and like started to kind of look into that avenue. And when we were like, no, we don't have $300,000 to buy a cabin upstate, but we do have $4,000 to buy an RV and make it cute. And so it was kind of like the idea of getting to do that creative thing together with each other in a bite-sized little moment. And we just kind of wanted to try it out. And we wanted to document everything and share all the things that we learned through the process, and just kind of like the blind leading the blind in that. And now we're on our 15th renovation, and we are no longer like DIYers, which is exciting. We're like professionals.
Okay. Quick question about when you just dove into your first renovation, when you bought a $4,000 rig. How did you know what you were doing? Like you go from like actor and makeup and hair, artist, then like renovating an RV. Are you guys just the type that you YouTubed everything, or did you have any RV stuff in your background? How did that happen?
No, we liked traveling, and we took an RV trip during COVID because that was like the safest way to travel, and we loved it. And we were like, we kind of just like had the brain baby of like putting those two together, like traveling and renovating and RVing and all of that. And we were like, let's do it. So we did it. No, we did a lot of YouTube. We did a lot of like, I did a lot of like calling around when we were like, for instance, like painting the exterior of the RV. I'm very type A. I need to do everything right. And if it's not right, I beat myself up really hard. Like I'm very competitive with myself. So like, I don't have in my brain, there is not an option to do it subpar, and there's not an option to sink it. Like it's swim. So I think that like personality trait of mine has helped me a lot. And then as far as Dave, he did a lot of like working with his hands, woodworking kind of stuff when he was younger. Like he would build skate park ramps with his dad. And he had built a lot of furniture, like custom furniture for our first home in Queens, and then did some stuff for our newest home. And so he just kind of like self-learned carpenter kind of thing. But I had no carpentry skills. And now like every time I do a renovation, I acquire a new skill and I get better and better. And, I've always had like a natural design knack, I feel like. So that's been good, but I've definitely like grown in like the process of like learning from others. And yeah.
Okay. So when was the first time that someone else asked you to renovate their RV?
Pretty quickly after our first one. So Penelope was our very first one. We bought her for $3,700. It was a huge money pit. Like we had no idea what we were looking for. We had no idea we're like, oh, it's not wet. It looks like no water damage. The whole thing was rotted, like the shell. Like we took it down to the shell. It took us 6 months for a 20-foot RV. Full time, both of us. But we did the full exterior, full interior, gutted the whole thing, put in new subfloors, everything. And we turned around and sold it for $27,000. We listed it at like $20,000. And then we ended up having so many people, they got into a bidding war, and we were pretty much like, give us your best offer. And we had probably 200 emails and like people submitting videos like, this is us and our family and please pick us. And like, here's what we can offer. And it was really cool. And so that's when we realized like we have something here and this is pretty cool. And so from essentially those other 199 people that didn't get Penelope, we then had our like phishing scheme right there, right? Like copy paste. Hey, I'm so sorry, Penelope sold, but if you want us to build you your own custom, just like Penelope, let me know. So then we started talking to clients and figuring out the right match. And then we went right into the next one.
And I love that obviously you've spent lots of hours on that first one, but the like price difference of like, we only spent 37 on this and we got like 27. Oh, so good. You seem really good at coming up with unique creative design solutions for these small spaces. And I'm curious, like your previous career was in wig and makeup design. Are there any similarities in your previous design tasks and what you do now?
I mean, definitely like the basics, right? Like I got my BFA in wig and makeup design. I did a 4-year bachelor's degree where I took all these different classes, like full semester long classes on like color theory and color and design and like all of this stuff. And so a lot of that plays into like me knowing which tone neutrals are going to pair best with like which saturation of green and like which hue and like undertones and all that kind of stuff. And then also same with like patterns, right? Like figuring out how to distribute color and patterns so that it feels balanced. So all of those like, general basics of design, I definitely got a lot of that from art school, but, yeah, I would attribute some of it to that.
Also, on this note about like design, you live and work alongside your husband, Dave, doing this work. And a lot of times on renovation shows and stuff, you see the couples where the wife is the designer and the husband does all the construction stuff. But in a lot of your content, it looks like you're doing a lot of the construction-y things. And so I'm curious, how do you two divide the work in your renovation business?
There's so many like components to an RV renovation. Obviously, you have like your paint prep and then your paint and then your flooring and then like your custom builds and then your like the lighting and the electric and the plumbing and all that kind of stuff. And so like through each chapter that we get through, we already know we've kind of got like an unspoken system of like, I'm the better painter. I'm the better paneler, like cutting panels because I'm really good at math. I love math. And math is not Dave's strong suit. So I'll like figure out like, 16 and 5/16 and then like all these numbers and these weird jigsaw cuts and get the perfect panel and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff that like, I'm the one who's always in charge of like caulking. He does like all the plumbing. He does all the electricity. I help with electricity sometimes, but it's mostly him. We both do flooring. When we're painting, like I'm the one spraying because I've got like really good control to like make sure I'm always the same distance from the wall and at the right angle and stuff. But he'll keep me honest and like keep me from bumping into walls, like page my cord so I don't get my cord. Like, so we work as a team on all of these things, but I do a lot of the a lot of the construction-y stuff. Yeah.
I want to know like about the details that you choose in your spaces. Like, where are you finding inspiration from? Because you come up with these really creative solutions that you don't see if you just go to a Home Depot or like a whatever, like a box store. For example, like the little countertop thingies by your couches are like some kind of concrete mix thingy that you like painted this cool color. Or when you add like these tiny little like leather poles to a dresser, are you finding inspiration somewhere, or are you just like coming up with these ideas?
I think it's a combo. Like I'll sometimes be, like searching on Pinterest or Instagram or whatever, and I'll see something and I'll just take a screenshot and I throw it in a folder of like inspo. And then sometimes I don't even remember what I took the picture for. I'm like, oh, did I like the knobs in that? Or it was the tile, like whatever. So just like, I'm always trying to like push the boundaries and do different kind of creative solutions. The concrete, I don't really remember where that came from. I think it came from people being like, you can't do concrete in an RV. And I was like, well, now I want to do concrete in an RV. So I found like a special way to like mix it up and makes it flexible. And I was like, what's the worst that can happen? We had to take the countertop out that was free and came with the RV, and we put in a piece of butcher block. And it's held up great for the last 2 years on the road. So,
okay. I'm sure everyone asked you this question, and I hope it's not annoying, but what renovation has been the most fun for you so far?
Ooh, most fun or like my favorite aesthetically?
I mean, one of each.
Favorite aesthetically might have to be, I don't want to hurt any of my clients' feelings. I think it has to be Elle. I loved Elle. That was our 11th one. That's why we named her Elle. And it was like a lot of like really dark, moody plaster and slatted wood. And it was just very dreamy. The one I did the custom U-shaped upholstered dinette. So yeah, that was probably my favorite aesthetically, but it was a lot of work. So I wouldn't say it was my favorite like overall to do. I think my favorite one that I've like, as far as like fulfilling and quick moving, and would probably have to be Jute, which was the one that we designed ourselves. Just a little 20-foot. Only took us a couple weeks. Everything, we knew exactly what we were doing, and we weren't having any curveballs thrown at us, and it just felt like it really flowed, and it was great.
I can't believe you did that yourselves. I know exactly the one you're talking about, where the bed comes down and you have like the little projector screen and all this stuff.
Yes.
So freaking amazing. My next question was going to be, which one has been the most challenging, but maybe that was that Elle that you talked about? Oh, no, not
Elle. That would definitely be Oakley. 100%. That would be Oakley, I believe, was our 7th reno. It was a massive class C, like a super C. And it was for a client that wanted to use it for her family, but also rent it out for production companies. So we had to do like a lift, like a cute little dining nook for when the family wants to eat there, right? Like a little bar. But then out of that rose this lighted makeup mirror, and it became like a hair and makeup station. And then in the bedroom, the bed, we made it into a custom Murphy bed. So it folded into the wall, and then we had to make a system to hang clothes. So that became the wardrobe section. And then we did like a fully paneled refrigerator, like a household paneled refrigerator. We did just so many customs. The whole thing was veneered in genuine white oak, or lime washed by hand. I mean, it was the most luxe custom, like all real ceramic tile, like floor to ceiling. Like it was definitely the longest it's ever taken us. And it was definitely like the most like pull my hair out kind of on some of the days where I'm just like, this is so hard, but we did it.
That's amazing. It must feel so good to be done with that project.
Oh my God. We like get PTSD looking back at it. We like tore that whole thing up. It was like, yeah.
Hey friends, pardon the interruption. This is a sponsored episode, and it's time for a short ad break. All right, friends, let's get real for a sec. Cleaning every part of your RV, including the nasty bits, is a big part of RV life. We use wastewater products for our camper from Unique Camping and Marine that are the best. They have a 2-in-1 toilet cleaner and black tank treatment called Flush It. That is freaking brilliant. Find these and many other useful RV products at uniquecampingmarine.com and use code RVQueens for 15% off your order. Okay, let me ask about some practical design tips for people who want to do a little DIY update on their own rig. What are the top 2 to 3 changes to factory default RVs that you think make the biggest difference in helping it feel more homey?
Great question. I mean, I feel like paint is number one because that's the majority of your RV, right? Even if just like painting some of the cabinets, you know. I think another big one is flooring, especially if it's like all carpeted or something. That makes a huge impact. I mean, that's essentially like your base foundation, right? Like if you repaint and refloor, that's pretty much like brand new feeling space. Easier updates to that would be like reupholstering your dinette. You know, like I, on our page, have like a really easy system that I use that it takes me like 4 hours to reupholster the entire dinette. It's just super simple. You just buy a couple yards of fabric and that's like a beautiful upgrade you could do. We have like this buttery caramel leather back there. It's like a faux leather. So that's like a really good upgrade. You could paint your countertops. I mean, you could switch your countertops out with just like a slab of edge glued pine from Lowe's and put a little pretty stain and poly on there. And that would like warm up the space if you hate the like granite countertops or whatever. So those are, I mean, obviously super easy things are like lighting fixtures. That just takes like, 20 minutes. You order it on Amazon, you switch it out. Pro tip, you can use any household, light in an RV as long as it has a bulb that screws in and you get a 12-volt bulb and then you won't trip your system.
Wow. I'm going to have to like go Google some of those words. But that is good to know because we used to have this super ugly light above our dining table. And I was always like, I was too scared to change it because I figured, I was like, it probably has to be like RV specific. I don't know what I'm doing. So.
No, it's the easiest switch out. Awesome. You got it. You'll have the little, we call them party hats because I think it's cute. Do you know the little twist nuts for the wires?
Yeah.
The little orange ones?
Yeah.
They're like little party hats. You just untwist those and then you put your new wire, you put black with black and white with white, twist it up and screw it on.
Ta-da! That's awesome. Okay, let me ask you about how travel is like incorporated in your life these days. And even like kind of back to when you guys started RVing. Do you travel based on client work or do you have clients come to you? Like, do you take trips at all just for like fun personal stuff, or how does that kind of fit into your life these days?
That's an excellent question. And it is a layered answer, but essentially we kind of built this model off of like, we'll go to the clients and then we realized like, why are we going to go all the way to the clients if they don't have the space for us? And then we have to find a space and we're in the middle of nowhere. So we've kind of gotten it to the point where when we have our initial meeting with our clients, we say, hey, we are planning on being X because it's going to be too hot here and it's going to be too cold here. It seems like it's kind of close to you. We found a space that we can renovate. And then they're usually chill about just like dropping it off and picking it up. And we FaceTime throughout the process. There's rare occasions where we go to the client. We did that for one that we did in Ohio. His name was Ron Burgundy. He was very cute and boho. And the client had like property and space and RV hookups and everything and a shed that we could, like a garage that we could use. And so we were like, no brainer. Like, let's go live on property, work on their rig. We stayed there for like 2 months. And that was lovely. But typically speaking, they're not going to have the space for us and for the rig and for RV power and a shop and all of these things and be in the right climate during that time of year. So it just got too tricky trying to go to the clients, but we try to circulate near them and just kind of pick the places that we've been dying to check out that we might want to like move to in the future. Like once we get out of New York.
Is that ever a part of how you pick your clients, is like they're in a location you want to be?
Yeah. We'll be like, oh, okay, babe, I just talked to someone. They're in Austin, Texas. I've been dying to go to Austin. They have 2 kids, like whatever. Like we'll like get really excited if it's like in an area that we want. But then there's also people that, I mean, most of the time we're doing these renovations remote, states and states away, and they have no problem, right? Like they have to do one drop off and one pickup.
Let's talk about your family and friends. You guys are both from North Carolina, correct?
So Dave's from North Carolina. I went to school in North Carolina, but I'm actually from Iowa.
Oh my gosh, Midwest girl. High five. I'm from Missouri. So
I love it.
What have been the reactions from your friends and family? Like your life, first of all, you lived in New York, which for you is like this huge change from living in Iowa. And then you guys decide to like take a huge pivot and become RVers. What's the reaction been?
I mean, most of it's been really positive. Like our family's been really positive. At the very beginning, they were like, "But Dave's so talented. He's a star on Broadway. Why would you leave that?" And it's like, because we missed each other and like we never got to see each other. And that industry, while it's got its wonderful moments, it can also be like very toxic for like your self-confidence and that kind of a thing. And now we're like out in nature and just getting to work together and supporting each other. And I just feel like, so yeah, to answer your question, most of our friends and family, like across the board, have been really supportive and like excited. And they've come, like we've had a lot of friends and family come out and visit us on the road. They'll be like, oh, I've always wanted to go to, you know, Phoenix. And we're like, well, then come, we'll fly you out and like, you can stay in our RV. And so it's been a lot of fun, and they've all been very involved through the process.
Most people that I talk to are like, yeah, everyone thought we were crazy, including my personal experience. So it's nice to hear that there's like some supportive family members out there.
Totally. At least to our face, they've been like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, sweetie. I don't know if they're saying like Amelia and Dave are draining their own poop now, but.
Oh, everyone always wants to talk about the Black House. I'm like, okay, you do it once.
I know.
It's not that big of a deal. It's fine.
I don't do it. So we're good there.
You don't? You never have yet?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Dave really likes like taking care of like the big boy tasks. And so I just like kind of like let him have that. I'm like, you're so good at it, babe.
To your point, I still have never driven the rig. Part of it is that I'm not on the insurance, but also now I just use it as an excuse. Like, yeah, I can't do it. I also just totally don't want to because it freaks me out.
Yeah, totally. Me too. I'm not like that in so many ways, but there are certain ones where I'm like, you're so much better at the dishes, babe.
I do that with putting groceries into the fridge because if it was up to me, I'm like, what's the point? It's going to move around like 27 times again. It doesn't need to be organized. And my husband has very specific places. I'm like, okay, so you can put away the groceries because you're so much better at it. How this is going to go. All right. So before I ask my last question, will you go ahead and share where listeners can connect with you and Dave online?
Primarily, we're on Instagram. We're trying to post stories like every day so you can see the day-to-day progress of us renovating each one of these custom rigs. Our Instagram is at BB and the RV because I'm Amelia Bay and my husband is David Brown. And when we got married, we decided to both take each other's names. So now we're both the Bay Browns. So we're BB and the RV. We're on TikTok, not as much, but we're trying to do better. And then we're on Facebook too. But the main hub, I would say, of all of our stuff is on Instagram.
Okay. And if someone's interested in becoming a client, what's the best way to reach you?
So we have a website. It's linked in all of those profiles. And it is, you can just go to bbandtherv.com and shoot us an inquiry, or you can email us at bbandtherv@gmail.com. Or you can DM us on Instagram or Facebook, or there's a million ways to reach us. And we're going through those all the time. If it takes us a couple days to get back, we will eventually get through it and read it. And we'd love to take you on as a client.
If you live in a beautiful location. Just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys have any openings the rest of the year for new clients, or how booked up are you?
Yeah. So we have this client we're working on right now, and then we have one more after that. And then we actually have like a last minute opening. It's kind of our final slot of the year because for October, November, December, we're booked out, but we have one last minute opening if anybody's interested in September, early September. And we only have like a month to do it. So we're looking for a rig that's like under 30 feet, ideally like 20 to 25. So if you're looking for a smaller RV or you have one that you want renovated, go ahead and shoot us an email at bbandtherv or send us a DM, and we'd love to chat.
Okay, Amelia, when you think back to the version of yourself before this full-time RV life, when you lived in New York, and think of yourself now as a nomad and a renovator and a content creator, what has changed?
Definitely lower stress levels. Definitely less like living in a big city and just feeling anxious all the time. Getting to spend more time with my family, being my dog and my husband, and getting to like, not be on the 5th floor and have to take her down the elevator like 3 times a day to just like go step on some concrete and go pee and then go back inside. And yeah, work doesn't like feel like work anymore, which is really fun. Like most days, unless it's like 1,000,000 degrees and we're doing really fun grunt work. Most days it's like as soon as we're done with this, I can't wait to get back to flooring. It's so satisfying. So like, I'm always excited. I get to make my own schedule. I just feel like it's it's a more like sustainable lifestyle than what the crazy 16-hour days I was pulling on film and TV in the middle of the night in New York and the city and just the craziness. And I miss it sometimes, but I love just like looking at my window right now, and it's just like gorgeous green trees like swaying in the wind, and like I just like, yeah, I live in like nature. It's pretty fun.
Well, thank you for inspiring us all with your renovation work and with this podcast episode. And thank you so much for being on the show today, Amelia. I've really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
You're welcome. All right. Hopefully, I will see you on the road. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode and for being my favorite part of RV life. If you could please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on, that would be awesome. And listen, if you want to have conversations like I had on this episode with your fellow RV women, head to rvqueenspodcast.com/community and choose your RV Queen Circle today. All right, guys, I'll see you next week, or hopefully I will see you on the road. If you live in a beautiful location.